All right. Tell us about your food industry experience, such as culinary jobs, culinary school jobs, cooking classes, etc.
Well, the very first time I got into food service industry was when I was 16 years old. My very first job was as an ice cream scooper for a restaurant. Um, that kind of got it started because they did like little cakes and stuff. Nothing like what I do now, but and as it went along, I decided out of high school I went to culinary school in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the Pennsylvania Culinary. I loved everything I did there. You know, they did the breads and the cakes and the pies and all that, and the decorative stuff. And it wasn't until after I got out of school and got some more job experience. You know, I had a baking job, I had a retail job. I had a job where I was able to do cakes, and I just picked up on it like that. And I knew that's what I wanted to do.
Okay. True or false? You have to go to culinary school to be a good baker and decorator. Please explain your answer.
That is absolutely false. I think that if you have the desire to learn how to do something, you can do it. You have to try, practice, you know, all that. And like I said, you know, they didn't elaborate very much on cake decorating aspect when I was in school. So when I got out of school, I had a few baking jobs, like where I was baking bread. And then the one job that I had where I was able to do cakes, you know, that was it. Like I hadn't really had much cake decorating experience behind my belt at that time. So, and now, you know, I'm a lead cake decorator for a grocery store. I mean, so.
Okay. Do you have cake decorating baking, or pastry experience? Be specific and list all relevant experience that translates into your decorating.
Yes, I have cake decorating and baking experience. Like I said, I went to culinary school, and I've worked for Noah's Bagels as head baker. I worked for a local grocery store in California and did baking there and cake decorating. I do cake decorating at home. And then, you know, I worked as a cake decorator for Walmart, and now currently at Kroger's as lead cake decorator. So.
Okay, and is there a specific genre of foods or desserts you like to bake or cook? Be very specific. What type of baking do you hate?
Well, my favorite genre of food, I think, to cook is probably Italian, because I love pasta, and pasta and pizza. But let's see, my absolute thing that I hate to cook is, oh, well, I don't know. I like food, but I'd have to say probably Chinese, because I can't do it as well as what you get at the restaurants. It's kind of crappy.
Your food or the...
Yeah, my food. My food's crappy. My Chinese food is crappy.
Okay. But not your cakes.
No, not my cakes. No. At least I would hope not.
Okay. Are you creative in the kitchen?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm creative. Whenever somebody asks me to do a cake, I try to. Usually, most of the time they're just like, "Oh, just do whatever," and you know, I'll come up with something, and they're just like, they love it. You know, sometimes they want something specific, and even then I'll either do it specifically how they ask, or I'll do something. I'll go a little bit above and beyond what they've asked, and it makes it like a million times better for them.
All right, and it says here. Well, how and elaborate and creative are your designs when baking? It says here, be detailed. Show and tell us about your imagination and some of your most creative designs. Example, concentrate on sculpted cakes, use airbrushing, use pyrotechnics, won competitions, etc.
Okay, well, I like to do the topsy-turvy cakes. I've never really attempted a sculpted cake yet, like a 3-dimensional sculpted cake. I've done a 2-dimensional sculpted cake before. What's the question again?
Show and tell us about your imagination, some of your most creative designs. For example, concentrate on sculpted cakes, use airbrushing, use things like pyrotechnics, won competitions, etc.
Okay. Well, like I said, I always try to come up with something that's a little bit above and beyond what somebody would expect. I do have a picture here. This was a... Can you see the picture?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This was a picture that I drew up of a giant cupcake that my friend wanted for her 35th birthday. And she was like, oh, just come up with whatever. So I found this extremely pretty print off of a cupcake wrapper at the store. And I cut all the little shapes out of fondant and put them on there. And she just absolutely loved it. I mean, it was... And it wasn't like I could use cutters. I had to, like, trace them out with a knife. So... I've never attempted pyrotechnics. I think I would be afraid to. I'd probably blow the house up. And we don't need any more fires after a couple weeks ago.
What happened a couple of weeks ago?
Our neighbors left something on their stove. Smart. I don't have an airbrush machine. I really want one. I just haven't gotten into that yet. I really do want one though. I use it a lot at work. I'm pretty creative with that. I can usually airbrush pretty good with an airbrush machine. Haven't done any competitions. This would actually be my first that I'm actually trying to compete in. So.
All right. Well, what is your favorite topic of conversation when in a... Oh, you know what? I skipped the question. Tell us any interesting details, example, wacky jobs, hobbies, interests, talents, awards, etc. about yourself or anything that makes you stand out.
Oh, well, I don't know if I have any wacky hobbies, but I mean, I like to, besides cake decorating, I like to do crafting, like bike riding, just all the regular stuff. I like to go to clubs, that kind of thing. I like to go get tattoos, piercings, whatever. So.
Okay, and what is your favorite topic of conversation in a social setting?
Pretty much anything, as long as it's not like politics or religion. Those are touchy. Yeah, I mean, I like to talk about movies, not really sports, because I don't know anything about sports, but, movies, actors, gossip, just whatever's happening, I'll talk about pretty much anything with anybody.
Alright, and where do you get your recipes?
I get a lot of recipes from my family. My grandmother, she still bakes a lot, so she gives me a lot of recipes. Unfortunately, I don't get to use a lot of them. I'm usually on a time constraint whenever I bake cakes, so I do have to use box mix, but they work just as well. I mean, all my cakes come out pretty good with those. But yeah, I do get a lot of recipes from my family. I have a huge collection of recipe books that, I use some of that as well sometimes. So.
Okay. How do you put your own personal twist on these recipes?
Like I said, I use the Mexican vanilla. That's my favorite thing to use. Sometimes I'll add like a flavoring, another flavoring like cherry, or if it goes along with what they're what they're needing it for, or having it decorated as. So